Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to 1908, and we have a close game here for you between Cleveland and Detroit. In Detroit, at the stadium later to be known as Tiger Stadium. Here's Napoleon Lajoie starting it off for Cleveland. Rolls a 53 for a 19. That error number's changed to a 15, which ends up being a fly ball out to McIntyre in left field for the first out. And here comes Josh Clark. They call him the Naps, but, the way that this worked back then is the newspapers would kind of call the team whatever they wanted to call them. That's why you would see the Athletics called the Mac Men for so many years. So say what you want to say, I'll just call him Cleveland. Here's Josh Clark, rolls a 21 for a 30 for another fly ball to left field over to McIntyre, 2 outs. And here's George Stovall. Rolls a 23 for a 32. That is a fly ball to right field, and this time it's Cobb. Ty Cobb catches that one, and he comes in to lead off the bottom of the first inning. The Tigers here are 1-3, and Park has Cobb there sitting 250, but we're only a couple games into this, 4 games in. He rolls a 31 for an 8, and of course against Addie Joss, that's a little pop fly over to Bradley at third base. 1 out. Here's Matty McIntyre. Rolls a 22 for a 7. There's a base hit, and here's Sam Crawford, now runner on first base. We're going to hit and run. He rolls a 64 for a 13, and there's a strikeout, throw him out as Crawford strikes out, and McIntyre is caught stealing, and we go to the top of the second inning, and that 13 is one of those things that kills you if you try to hit and run. And here is Bill Hinchman for Cleveland. He rolls a 56 for a 34, and there is a pop up over to Schaefer at short. 1 away. Here's Bill Bradley. He rolls a 15 for 11. He gets a base hit and then steals second base, and that brings up Joe Birmingham, who's going to bunt. And that's how you know we're in 1908 when we're bunting in situations like this. He rolls an 11 for a 7, and that ends up being a bunt down to Rossman at first base. Fields it, flips it to Downs, covering the bag. And there are 2 away now for George Paring. Shortstop rolls a 54 for a 45, and we do have a chance for little E. Let's see what we get. It's a 51, no little E going. There's a little fly ball over to Cobb in right field. He's got it for the out, and that goes to the bottom of the second inning. Here's Claude Rossman. Claude rolls a 23 for a 32, fly ball out there to right field, and it is Hinchman who has it for the out. 1 away. Here's Red Downs. He rolls a 61 for a 32, another fly ball to Hinchman. 2 away. Here's Coughlin. Bill hits a 15 for a 10. That's a base hit for Bill Coughlin, and here comes Germany Schaefer. Runner on first base, 2 outs for the Tigers. He rolls a 25 for an 11. That's a base hit. Coughlin goes to third base despite that slow rating, and Schaefer ends up stealing second on the next pitch. That brings up Bosch Schmidt now 2 outs, 2 on, bottom of the second. Deuce is wild as he rolls a 55 for an 8, and that is a single over first, scores 1, and then Hinchman's able to make the throw to Clark at the plate for the out to catch the second runner, and I'm sorry, both runners score. I see, because the runner on second was not an S, so both runners end up scoring. My apologies. Schmidt drives in 2 with a big base hit. Here's Ed Summers now, 2-0 Tigers, just like that, bottom of the second. And Summers rolls a 61 for a 13. He strikes out, and that brings up Clark here at the top of the third inning. Clark comes up for Cleveland, rolls a 62 for a 12, and we have a little E coming up. Rolls a 54. That ends up being a little ground ball over to Rossman, does it himself. He does it himself at first for the out. Ignore me hitting computer roll dice and then hitting forward. That was a little bit odd on my part. Here's Addie Joss, 1 away, top of the third. He rolls a 46 for a 13. There's a strikeout, and we go to Lajoie. You can see there, by the way, how easy it is if you're playing this game without using your own dice. If you're using the computer dice, you can play a game off in like no time. I mean, I kind of prefer doing it this way because I have to slow down and think about it. Lajoie rolls a 36 for a 14, and he walks, and that brings up Josh Clark. Runner on first base now, and there's 2 outs here, top of the third inning, and Clark rolls an 11 for a 7. That will send Napoleon over to third base. Clark is there at first, and here comes George Stovall, down 2-0, but Cleveland has 2 runners on. He rolls a 56 for a 30. That is a fly ball over to McIntyre in left, and that does it. And here comes the bottom of the third base, and here's Ty Cobb to lead it off. He rolls a 42 for a 9, and he strikes out. Man, I wonder if Cobb isn't upset about hitting in that first spot in the order. That might be what's going on. He's not hitting well at all. McIntyre now rolls a 62 for a 12, and that's a little ground ball to first base. Stovall's got it, takes it to the bag himself, 2 away. Sam Crawford now, he rolls a 44 for a 7, and that's a single to right field. Hit number 5 off of Addie Joss, who, as you know, has a great season in 1908. Claude Rossman now rolls a 22 for a 7. That's a little ground ball over to Bradley at third base. Makes the play at first for the out. We go to the top of the fourth, and here's Bill Hinchman. He rolls a 24 for a 13. There is a strikeout, second strikeout of the game for Summers. And here's Bill Bradley. He rolls a 41 for a 28. That is a ground ball over to Schaefer at short. Sorry, I had to look it up. And he throws to first for the out. Here's Joe Birmingham. Rolls a 51 for a 9. That is a pop fly up to Coughlin at third. And he's got that one for the third out. We go to the bottom of the fourth, and Red Downs leads off. He rolls a 15 for an 8. That's a pop foul over to Bradley behind the bag, makes the couch. Bill Coughlin now rolls a 25 for a 9, and that's a strikeout. That is strikeout number 4 for Addie Joss. And here's Germany Schaefer. Rolls a 12 for a 24. There's a ground ball over to shortstop, and Paring's got it over to the first base for the out. Paring then leads off the top of the fifth for us here. Rolls a 52 for a 27. That's a grounder out to Coughlin at third. He throws over to first base for the out. There's one away. That brings up Clark. He rolls a 24 for a 13, and that's a strikeout. Another strike over Summers, who has 3 so far, and here comes Addie Joss again. Joss rolls an 11 for a 0, and he goes fishing again, gets a 22 for a 2, and that's a triple for Addie Joss with 2 outs and Lejoie coming up. This is a crucial moment of this game, right? From the top of the 5th inning, 2-0 is the score. Not many base hits in this one. Here's a man who can hurt you. And Napoleon rolls a 34 for a 44. That is a fly out over to Crawford, who makes the catch. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning, still 2-0 Tigers. First man up is Bosch Schmidt. He rolls a 33 for a 7 for the base hit, and that brings up Ed Summers, the pitcher, who is going to bunt. And the roll is a 23 for a 32. It's a good bunt. It's over to the third base side. Bradley's got it. Goes over to first base for the out. There's one away. Schmidt moves up to second. Here's Ty Cobb. And Cobb rolls a 63 for a 31. Cobb just not hitting well so far in this replay. It's a fly ball over to Birmingham. He makes the out, 2 away. Here's Matty McIntyre, and he rolls a 66 for a 0. Matty has a chance to drive in this run, and it's 11 for a 2, and that's a triple to deep center field, and that scores the 1. It's 3-0 Tigers now. Here's Sam Crawford. He rolls a 44 for a 7, and there's a base hit, and there's run number 4 for the Tigers. That brings up Claude Rossman. Everybody hitting except Ty Cobb. Rossman rolls a 43 for a 29. That's a little ground ball over to Summers. He goes easy way to Stovall at first, and that does that. We go to the top of the 6th inning, 4-0 Tigers. Josh Clark starts it off, rolls a 25 for an 11. That's a base hit, and he steals second as George Stovall is up there. Stovall now rolls a 54 for a 45, and there is a chance for little E. Rolls a 45, so no chance there. It's not realized. Little fly ball over to Ty Cobb in right field, and that brings up Bill Hinchman. Hinchman rolls a 43 for a 29. There's a ground ball to first base. Stovall hits the pitcher covering for the out. There we go. Woo! And Bill Bradley now comes up, runner on third base, 2 outs here, top of the 6th inning. Rolls a 62 for a 12. We'll see if this little E gets anything going here. And it is something. It's a 16 that ends up changing that roll to an 18, which is a shortstop. That's an error on Schaefer at short. Scores a run. Bradley's on at first. Here's Joe Birmingham up now with a runner on first, 2 outs. 4-1 now. Tigers. Birmingham hits a fly ball over to center field. Rolls a 21 for a 30. That's Crawford who makes that play. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning now, and it's Red Downs against Addie Joss. Downs rolls a 33 for a 7. Gets the base hit to right. Here comes Bill Coughlin. And we're going to bunt. And the roll is a 31 for a 14. That's a walk to Coughlin, and that brings up Germany Schaefer. Let's see, what has Schaefer hit so far today? He's 1 for 2 today. I guess I could look over here. Schaefer's going to hit. He's going to swing away. Rolls a 65 for a 35. That's a harmless foul out to Clark, the catcher, and that's 1 away. And here comes Bosch Schmidt, who's 2 for 2 today, but we're going to bunt with him anyway. He rolls a 25 for an 8. There's a bunt back to Joss, and he goes over to Lejoie, covering first base for the out. 2 outs now, and Ed Summers comes up. He rolls a 31 for a 13. What a wonderful roll that is. It's another strikeout for Addie Joss. And we go to the top of the 7th inning. George Paring starts it off here for the Tigers. Top of the 7th. He rolls a 51 for a 9. That's a pop fly over to Coughlin at third. 1 away. Here's Clark. He rolls a 41 for a 28, which is a ground ball over to Schaefer. Schaefer makes the play from short over to first base for the out. 2 away. Here's Addie Joss. He rolls a 46 for a 13, and there's a strikeout, number 4 from Ed Summers, and we go to the bottom of the 7th. Ty Cobb now 0 for 3 today. Cobb is hitting .211, He rolls a 42 for a 9. That's a single by Cobb against Addie Joss, who's now a B, but then he's caught stealing, and that's one away. And here's Maddie McIntyre. I mean, a single helps, but it doesn't help if you're caught stealing. McIntyre rolls a 44 for a 7, and he doesn't try to steal. And here comes Sam Crawford, and now they're going to play hit and run. There's a 63 for a 31. That's a hit and run single for Sam Crawford. That's why you hit and run there. Hit and run again with Claude Rossman up, runners on first and third. And he rolls a 33 for a 0. This could be big. Next roll is a 34 for a 6, and that is a double to deep left center field, and that scores 2. And that will bring up Red Downs now 6-1 Tigers. Addie Josh is not pitching a good game so far today. And it's a 51 for a 9. That's a little ground ball over to Stovall at first, takes it the short way, and Rossman goes up to third. And here's Bill Coughlin. Roll is a 26 for a 27. That's a ground ball over to Bradley at third base. Makes the play at first, and that does it. Napoleon Lajoie here, top of the 8th inning, and he rolls a 14 for a 43. And the second roll is a 53 on that little E, and that ends up being a fly ball over to McIntyre in left field. He makes the play, one away. Here's Josh Clark. He rolls a 21 for a 30, which is another fly ball over to McIntyre, 2 out. Here's George Stovall. He rolls a 36 for a 33. Little E roll is a 12, so it is going to be another error on Schaefer, the shortstop. Second error on the Tigers in this game. George Stovall able to make first base. 2 outs, though, and it's Bill Hinchman. Rolls a 32 for a 26. That's a ground ball over to Downs. Goes it the short way over to Schaefer at short, and that does it. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and here's Germany Schaefer, and I have Addie Joss, of course, on short watch. He rolls a 53 for an 18, and that is an error on the shortstop pairing. That puts a runner on first base with nobody out for the Tigers, and we are going to hit and run. We don't care about the steal or anything like that. We take all that stuff off, and that's a 25 for an 8 for a base hit for Schmidt. That will bring up Ed Summers, the pitcher, and Joss is done. Joss is done, and who are we going to put in for him? You can see I'm not consulting like the charts that I have or anything that I've put up. I mean, how out of reach is this game? We're probably going to put in some like Otto Hess, I think. Let's do that. Let's put in Otto Hess. Let's put in just like a really bad pitcher just for fun. Ed Summers now runners on first and third. Nobody out. 6-1 Tigers. No need to put any play on. He rolls a 13 for a 13. That's a strikeout. Otto Hess gets the strikeout to start things off. Here's Ty Cobb now. 6-1 Tigers. 1 out. Runners on first and third. Cobb rolls a 22. And then his second roll is a 16 for a 7, and that scores 1 with a single. Cobb now is the runner on first base. Here's Maddie McIntyre. 7-1 Tigers. And the rule is a 65 for a 35. That's a little foul ball behind second base. And Lajoie has that for the out. 2 away, or Sam Crawford. And the rule is a 16 for a 26. And that's a little ground ball over to Lajoie at second, goes to pairing at short for the out. That does it. We go to the top of the 9th inning. And here's Bill Bradley. And it won't take us too much longer, I think, before this one is in the books. And the first roll for Bradley, 36 for a 33. And here comes that little E. The little E roll is a 56, and that ends up being a pop-up over to Downs at second base. 1 away. Joel Birmingham now rolls a 21 for a 30. That's a fly ball over to McIntyre on left. 2 away. George Perring. Re-roll that one since it's out of the box. And Perring rolls a 44 for an 8. There's a single to left center. Only the 5th hit of the game for Cleveland. And now it's Clark. And Clark rolls a 61 for a 36. That result is changed to a 40. That ends up being a ground ball over to Rossman at first base. Goes to the bag himself for the out in the end of the game. 7-5, the Tigers with the big win. That improves the Tigers to 2-3. Cleveland down to 2-3 as well. We have a lot of teams in both leagues around that 2-2, 2-3 range. So hope that you enjoyed this one, and we'll have more action for you tomorrow. Talk to you later. Bye.